Hello, everybody. I am Radagast, and this is Mystic Brew and Turd Flinging Monkeys on January 11th. All right, everybody. I guess unless you're distracted, there is a battle going on, and this battle really is about sovereignty versus globalist corporatism, and so it's not even political. I guess everybody's pretending that it's political, because if it wasn't pretended to be political, it would be obvious what it is. And for those of us who are aware of what's been going on this planet, especially for well, it's been going on for decades, but I mean, it's really, it's been consolidating. The whole globalist thing, the NWO, the Agenda 21, and now I think it's got a new name to it because maybe it's going to take longer. Just concepts like you can't even own your own drinking water, the TTP, the TTIP, these very highly secretive treaties that are really where corporations that are in these treaties would have greater say than the countries that they run in. If the countries try to stop their motions, they could the countries couldn't even stand up to these corporations. It's very ugly. It's really a form of global fascism. And so the current election in the United States is really a resistance. And I know there are certain people go, oh, they're just two sides of the same coin. I do not see evidence of that. Look, we've had, just go back to 2000 when there was the Bush and Gore thing, and Supreme Court appointed Bush. Gore was probably paid off to lay down. I don't know that, but I know I've heard that, but I don't know that. I didn't conduct my own investigation. And and then Bush took office. There was no real acrimony, and then Bush had 8 years. Bush Jr. Obama got elected, and they kind of just passed off. It was kind of like, okay, here's the football, and on we go. This is the first election we're not seeing that happen. And there's all kinds of noise about the character of Donald Trump. It's not about his character. It's about who he's not. And he's not a member of the Council on Foreign Relations Club and the various think tanks and the institutes that are really globalist New World Order agenda institutes. And so what we're now seeing is a real shit war, which is why I'm going to call this video Turd Flinging Monkeys. And one of the things that got me, apparently there's a story that came out. I haven't read the story because it's just so ridiculous, especially now that I know it was a trolled story. Something akin to Trump team or somebody peeing on Obama's bed. It's some kind of ridiculous thing. And apparently the two people that ran with it were CNN and BuzzFeed. And I just reading on Zero Hedge minutes ago, I just finished the article and came here. And the New York Times is disavowing, and they're basically saying that CNN and BuzzFeed ran with a fake news story. And it seems like there might have been, apparently there's some website on the web that I've never even visited called 4chan. And that's where much of the Pepe meme came out of. I mean, you can actually see some. There are certain videos about the Pepe meme that he's a kind of some ancient Egyptian god called Kek that stands for chaos or something. It's very, very interesting. It's all interesting, especially from a metaphysical point of view. But to kind of bring it down to the Turd Flinging Monkeys, it appears that this what it is that this story about, I guess, again, Trump team peeing on Michelle and Obama's bed or something. Again, I don't have the details, and it's not a story I want to read, especially since I know it's a fake story. But apparently, I think 4chan might have developed it as a hoax, but because it was anti-Trump, they knew that the monkeys would want to pick up this hot stinking pile of shit, so they could throw it at Donald Trump. And people, the places like the New York Times and the Washington Compost are trying to hold on to some credibility because they have been a big problem. And again, everybody can always have what some people call a come to Jesus moment, and just say, "Oh, yeah, my God," apparently sales were either sales or of ads or papers were down like I think 95% in the last quarter for the New York Times. And just past weeks they were going to start renting 8 stories in their New York Times building to retail. I mean, things are bad for the New York Times. And as people wake up, if you cannot keep on serving the same old garbage and expect that people are going to be buying it. People really are waking up, and part of it is because the intensity of the nonsense has just gotten sloppy. They're not even really slick about it anymore. I mean, the people who go on the talk shows and stuff, they all have their ties. They're slick operators, but their stories stink. And so, and then and now we have the hearings coming up, and one of the fun things about the people who, not even Donald Trump, the people who supported Donald Trump, the people who got him elected. Every time they, when Hillary called them the deplorables, people even on Twitter would, say, oh, and they would, have a tag, deplorable Bill, deplorable Nancy, deplorable, Jake. They picked it up and wore it as a badge. Because first of all, when you consider the source, I mean, there were, I guess, certain people held Clinton in some esteem. There are some of us who hold her not in esteem, but as a steaming pile of something. So just so the deplorable. So anyway, the big, I guess there's on Friday, or it's a Friday. It's January 19th, the day before the inauguration. There's going to be this big celebration for Trump supporters, for Trump, and it's called the deplorable. You're having we're having a fancy ball. They're calling it a deplorable. Anyway, other turd flinging monkeys like Michael Moore and other people, they're calling for massive disturbances. Apparently, according to Roger Stone, there have been some turd flingers have actually bought tickets to the deplorable, and their plans are to come in with apparently bags of urine and bleach and throw them at people, or at least throw them on the floor, because bleach falling over the floor kind of means it's the air isn't safe to breathe when you have that much bleach laying around. It is chlorine. It's kind of a form of chlorine gas bombs. At a much lower level. I'm quite sure nobody. If you inhale enough chlorine, you can scorch your lungs a little bit. I've never seen, we've never, ever, there's always been protests, but these people who are protesting this are borderline violent. Criminal is a legal designation. If there's a law against it and you do it, like blocking traffic is considered criminal activity. I have slightly more stringent criteria for what a criminal is. All right. But when things start, violence is always criminal activity, in my opinion. At least violence against people who are not aggressing you. If somebody is threatening your life and you drop them permanently, I don't consider that's defense. That's not violence. So people are going to, I think it's going to get a little tricky to sort some of this out, partially because apparently some of the people who actually support the new movement, the Trump movement, call it whatever you want, are going to, now they know that the people are desperate for anything that they can use to make Trump look bad. So now some people on the Trump supporting side are going to hang out fruit that is complete nonsense, that they know is nonsense, will be able to prove is nonsense, be able to prove that they made it up. And then these people will quickly pick it up. Certain news people will pick it up, can throw it against Trump, and then people will plan to go, ha, 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 what you just did. So things are going to get things are going to get goofy. I do think that the NWO, the New World Order, the people, and this is not a Republican or Democratic thing, which is why look for those subtle shades of purple. That's what you get when you combine red and blue. You get purple. And you can see much more. Purple is showing up a lot more and more. And it's I think it's subtle signaling to each other. And I've said that I did a video on that 2 or 3 weeks ago. And so this is not about Republicans and Democrats. Yeah, the Republicans are going to play a little bit Republican-y, but this fight that's going on is already outing people. I mean, you have to show your loyalty to the New World Order, or your lifestyle will change drastically, if not your life. And so these people cannot stay undercover. There's no way they're not going to be able to come out and support ridiculous policies. Obviously, some will be a little bit more cautious. They might take turns being the first people in line. But as I see this being an ongoing battle, this is not going to settle down after the inauguration. That these people are going to be getting outed. But in the meantime, this is a battle. So in many ways, it's a war. And right now, the main ordinance is shit. That's why we have turd flinging monkeys. And with any war, there's something called the fog of war. And there is a fog of war here. So so even to those of us who are a little more clued in, when you're peering through something and fog is there, it's going to be readings will not be as easy as they might be without that fog. So I'm going to kind of just ask people to please be careful about incoming data streams, and don't be so quick to jump on them. Allow them some time to develop, allow some stories to develop around the initial stories. Kind of try and stay centered. Don't necessarily even pick a side. Want the truth. Want what are the facts. And because right now facts are rare, especially amongst the threatened side. And the threatened side is the globalists and the New World Order. They are highly threatened. This is the first time that they have somebody coming in to run the most powerful country in the world, who is not on their side, is not bought by them, and doesn't even share their ideology, and doesn't need them to make them rich. They come in rich. You can look at a lot of people go to the swamp. That would be Washington, D.C. And, many of them will go there non-millionaires. Almost none of them leave as non-millionaires. And their base salary does not allow them to really pull that one off. So that lets us know that there is a lot of buying of allegiance and votes and cooperation. And the people who are paying for this are the corporations. Now, to have a single corporation doing what's best for what it wants to do for itself doesn't have to be a bad thing. But when you start forming cabals of people who not only want to turn over a share for their profits, but actually want to be able to set policy, the policy of governments. And then when they start saying, well, even governments get it, let's just set policy for the planet. And that's what we're dealing with. That's what the New World Order is, trying to have a one world policy that is good for those who call themselves the elite. And of course, there's sometimes, there are the corporation people who've kind of entered the elite. And then you have the old school elite, and they all want one thing: control of resources and the people who they have to share some of those gains with. So anyway, so just kind of try and keep your bearing, no matter what side of the political spectrum you're on. don't fall for the stories as they first come out. If you really don't like Donald Trump, at least give yourself the dignity of a story that is fact-based. And so this way here, when you make your talking points that to maybe somebody who's supporting Trump, you don't lose your dignity because you're dealing with facts. And I mean, to me, it's a really great time to not be watching TV, especially for news, and including this. And if any news that has a TV presence, it's probably best not even to go to their websites. Try to find places that are at least semi neutral, but just be careful. Be careful out there, because there is, I mean, to quote Alex Jones, there is a war on for your mind, because it is what's going on. It is your psychology. It is how you see the world that you will react to it. So it is controlling messages. It is controlling how you see the world that is most important to the people who would control your mind so they can control the world. And I think that will be the end for this Mystic Brew, Turd Flinging Monkeys. My love to you all. If you like, please comment if you have any comments, one way or the other. No trolling, please, but comments are very welcome, and they don't have to just always tell me nice things. Actually, somebody had mentioned about, mentioning the globalist gives them powers, so I'm not going to put it in my title. That's why it's going to be called Turd Flinging Monkeys. To me, pointing out a dangerous animal that happens to be outside your house that you want to make sure doesn't get a hold of your leg is not giving the animal power. It's actually disempowering it by recognizing it. So anyway, please, a few thumbs up is always a pleasure for me. Comments are appreciated. And if you're not subscribed, and I am being more, I'm kind of every other day is like I'm doing this video roughly. If you would like to, follow, please, ModWiz125, please subscribe. My love to you all, and see you next time.